Praise the Lord. My name is Esther Wambi. I love the Lord and I love Christ. I love talking about families, and families are very important, and that is the reason why I have continually been talking about husband and wife and the duties and their preferences and how they're supposed to live together as believers in these homes. Last week I talked about the needs of men as far as women are concerned and what they should prioritize, and many times it's good to understand your spouse so that you can be able to know exactly what comes first. And today I want us to continue from there. But before I just say anything, I want to invite my husband just to greet you and even say something. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much, my dear wife, Esther Wambia Kirago. I am happy to join her today. I know that I'm not here quite often, but I support her with the work that she's doing, especially helping a number of many people whose marriages have challenges. It is our prayer that God has blessed a number of you who listen to us, and especially to her. And I want to believe that your marriage has been healed. It is our prayer that God will continue to work through marriages, and that marriages will experience God's blessings, because that is what God ordained from the beginning. God bless you. God keep you as she continues.
Amen. That is what it is. So we need to understand our duties as women to our spouses who are men. So I said the need of a man, it's supposed to be known by his wife, and they're supposed to be prioritized according to what comes first. And today I want us to continue. Another thing that a spouse should know about the husband, that is number 7, is lifelong commitment. Every man would want to live with a woman who has committed herself to live with that man for as long as they both live. There is no man who would want to live with a woman who is not a serious person. And so lifelong commitment, that making sure that at least you assure this man that I'm with you until the end. You know, every person who is married would want to be assured that I'm going to live with you until the end, because there is so much at stake in these marriages. There is a lot of efforts, there is a lot of investments. There is so much that people do in these marriages that everybody who is married, and especially men, they would want that one to be taken care of as a need. It is a need. You should assure your husband that you're going to live with him for as long as both of you are alive. Because, many times, there's this issue where even men don't want to show their wives what they have. Because some of them, they are not so sure that they are going to live with these women. Some of them cannot see signs of commitments in this marriage. So everybody would want to see a commitment. And that commitment is what makes people to trust somebody. And so it is a need for a man to understand that the wife is committed to this lifelong relationship. And that is the reason why, as a woman, you should be able to at least convince your husband, convince that man, or rather show that man there's a lot of commitment that you have. And that will make this marriage to be very smooth, because everybody wants a serious person. And when it comes to seriousness, some of these things you have to say them, even as you continue living. And number 8, domestic support with respect. There's a lot that happens at home. And I'm talking about the needs of men. Men at home, they have so much need. Sometimes, we really assume that they have hands, they can do things on their own. But when you go back to the Word of God, the Bible is very clear, about the creation of man and a woman. And when God looked at the man, he saw that this man is miserable. This man is not able to do so many things on his own. And for that reason, he said, I'm going to make a helpmate, who is fit for him, meaning that there is so much that he was not able to do. And those are some of the strengths that women are given. So when you are serving your husband at home, wacha kushinda ukimwambia ninafanyanga ni kila kitu ni mimi kila kitu. There is so much that you can do in that home as a woman, because God has given you this, he has given you that ability. And that is the reason why women are multitaskers. You can do so many things at the same time, as opposed to a man who can only do one thing at a time. You can imagine a man cannot be able to cook at the same time even talk on the phone. If a man is speaking on the phone, I can assure you chakula itakuwa nini, itaungua. But a woman can speak on the phone at the same time, anaongea na mtoto, anaongea na simu, na pia anapeana instructions to somebody else. So women have been so blessed, and that blessing, usifikiri hiyo nguvu ulipewa tu ukae nayo peke yako. That is the nguvu that you're supposed to take to your spouse. When you go to that spouse, when you get married, those are some of the things unapata unafanya. So zingine unaanza kusema unafanya kila kitu, but God has given you that strength. That's why you are a helpmate fit for this person. And many times you find that all the strength that God has given you, in some instances, they are the weaknesses of your husband. Your husband cannot do those things. And for that reason, you should do them with a lot of respect. Wacha kupigia mtu kelele. Oh, mimi ndio napika kila saa. Oh, mimi sijui nini watoto. Oh, mimi sijui nini. Sometimes you find that even some of these things are not in the minds of these men. They are not in their minds. So, you are blaming somebody who is not even thinking about what you thought he's thinking. Because he has not been given that strength. So that is a need that you're supposed to identify in the marriage and be able to meet. And many times you find that hata ukitoka uende safari, for example, a woman akitoka nyumbani aende safari, when this woman comes back, anarealizing there is a problem right from the gate. Unapata everything is unkept. So unaanza kushangaa, hey, hii nyumba sijui nitaanzia wapi, because all that you are actually is what is required in that family. So it is good to do everything that you are doing domestically with that support you are giving to your spouse who is a man. Do it with a lot of respect. Wacha kumpigia kelele, wacha kucomplain. You know, that is the reason why you are in the life of this man. And so it is very important to identify some of these needs, because they are the ones that cause a lot of trouble in these families. You find that unapata ya kwamba hiyo problem yenye unashinda ukicomplain, hiyo tu ndio ilifanya huyo mtu akuoe. Hiyo tu ndio ilifanya hata uende kwa hiyo boma. Those are the only things this man was not able to do. Anaweza kufanya mambo mengine yote except that one. Why don't you just identify that need and meet it, so that the family can be safe and can be happy? So number 9, understanding professional pressures. You know, it is a need. I'm talking about needs of men. And many times you find that in many families, every man seems to be working. There are some families where women are working and men are working too. But there are some families where women are just housewives and they are not working and their men are working. It is very important to understand the kind of work your husband does. You know, once you know the kind of work your spouse is doing, and sometimes once in a while it's good even to visit this place of work where your husband works, so that you can be able to identify with the pressures that he has, be able to understand the kind and the nature of the work that he does. Because sometimes we have blamed these men. You have blamed your spouse for maybe cheating on you just because maybe he comes home late, but you have never taken trouble to go and find out what kind of work does he do that even keeps him in the place of work until late. Some of these things, when you go there and understand, you'll be very secure. Your home will be very peaceful, because utajua kazi yenye mume wako anafanya. That is a need. It is a need that needs to be understood. You're supposed to meet that need. The need of easing the pressure. Yani when this man comes home and he's so, he has a lot of pressure. When you know the kind of work he's doing, you'll be able to put an environment around him that would make him to ease the pressure. You will be able to help him come out of, that pressure and relax at home. Let this man find home the best place to be, so that even when uko nje kazi ni nyingi, mambo ni mengi, akikuja nyumbani anajua I can find rest in my house. My wife knows my needs. She can be able to meet them. So it is very important for us to understand the needs of our spouses, and especially men. This time around, I'm talking about men's needs, and that is what will bring peace in the house. You can imagine, there are some women who work and they understand the pressures of work. But there are some men also who don't work, and I'll come to that when it comes to the needs of women. But what I'm trying to say today is that men, some of them actually, they are even depressed at their place of work. So when they come back home, maybe what you are thinking about your man is not even what is in his mind. Maybe he's so busy, he's so pressured with work that he does not even think about mpango wa kando. You are just busy at home because you are always maybe at home. Maybe you don't have as much work as your spouse has. So you are always thinking that anytime somebody comes home late, has some other things that he's doing other than work. But I want to tell you, it's very important to link up. It's very important to understand your spouse. It's very important to understand his needs. It's very important to understand his profession and the nature of the work that this person does. It will help you to be able to understand the kind of a man you are living with, and the needs of this person and be able to meet them. So it is very important to understand your man and prioritize his needs according to the first, second, and going forward, so that you don't start meeting. Sometimes you find that so a man can come home and you have cooked food, but besides the food you have a lot of kelele nyingi kwa sababu amechelewa. Instead of finding out the reason why he comes home late, instead of even visiting him at the place of work and identifying with the pressure that he has, you are always complaining that my husband comes home late. Just visit him. Make him your friend. The last time I said that we need to make friends in our husbands, or rather they need to have friends in us. So once your husband is your friend, you'll be able to even try to identify with what he does and be able to understand the kind of work that he does. So many times we have not given that space of friendship, and because we are not friends with our spouses who are our men, then we don't even get to understand the kind of work that they do. And for that reason, we are always complaining, we are always fighting in those homes. And this one, it brings the self-esteem of this man down. That is why I said the other time that when you make a husband your friend, even when he goes out there, even when he's so busy out there, atakukumbuka. He will always have you in his mind because you are his friend. But many of these families, they are not friends. And because they are not friends, they are always looking for problems. And for that reason, they are not happy. And number 10, recreational companionship. Recreational companionship is where you marry this man and you are ready to give birth with this man. You are ready to give birth. The issue of getting children actually has been left squarely on women. There is no way a man, hata kama anapenda watoto namna gani, atazaa peke yake. But a woman can struggle to get children. Can decide whether children are going to come to this family or not. Actually, it is squarely on women whether their children, the families are going to give birth or not. Because a man may want children, but the woman is not ready to carry the children. Is not ready to carry pregnancy. And because you are not ready to carry pregnancy, that home will stay without children. And what I'm saying, there is a need for that man who. Don't assume that children are only for yours. The children belongs to both of you. And because the woman is the one who has been given the ability to carry the pregnancy, then it means you have to identify with the need of this man of children. And you have to, commit yourself in such a way that the man understands that huyu mke wangu atakubali tuzae watoto na yeye. So it is very important for the woman to understand that as a need. So it is not a need only for one spouse. It's a need for both spouses. But it is only one spouse that determines whether children are going to be born or they are not going to be born. So you find sometimes it is a lot of problems in the families. You find that the man really wants children, but the woman says, me, Mrs. I. So that recreational, companionship is not there. You are living with a woman who has refused to give you children. You can imagine. So you find that this woman is not satisfied, is not happy. You can give him all the ugali, you can give him all the things that you want to give him, but the fact that you have not met that one specific need, unapata hiyo nyumba haina amani. So let it be known that if I don't have children, it is because God has not given us. But the woman should be ready to give children to the family because that is a duty that has been given to her. I'm talking with all factors, if all factors remain constant, that the man can give birth, the woman can give birth, God has given them ability, and now it is just a matter of choice. So that is what I'm saying. When it comes to a matter of choice, then this woman should be committed to be a recreational companionship with her husband. So it's very important for this woman to feel that I have a woman who has accepted to give me children. So that this woman, wherever he is, he's satisfied that I'm a married man, I'm a family person. But there are some families where you find that men are not at peace because amejaribu kuambia mama wapate watoto, mama anasema mimi sizai sai. I'm not giving birth this time, not now. I'm not ready for children. And then you really wonder, then what is the marriage all about? Why did you get married? And some of these things is good to tell people early enough. If you know that you're not going to be a recreational companionship to this man, mwambie tu mimi sitaza, so that he can make a decision whether to marry you or not to marry you. Some of these things is very important to discuss them before even people get married. So it is very important to understand that when it comes to a recreational companionship, it is the man that has been given that ability to get children. And for that reason, they have to make sure that the woman has to make sure that he has to meet this need of this man. And this need is the need of giving the man children. So when you get married to this man, be able to understand that hata zaa watoto na mwanamke mwingine huko nje, wewe ndio utampatia watoto. And so you should go there with that mind that I am the recreational companionship to this man. And so because I'm the recreational companionship to this man, I am equal to the task. I'm ready to do it so that this man can have peace. That is a need that should be identified. You know, sometimes we imagine that maybe the need to the man is maybe compare ugali and maybe sex, as I talked about it the other day. That is not enough. You know, it is very important to understand the needs in priority basis so that you can be able to know what is it that follows this one. When you get married, what next? Yes, you have been with your husband. You've had all the sex that you want to have with this man. But you have refused to give birth for this man. And so you are not a recreational companionship for this man. And for that reason, unapata ya kwamba mtu anasema ati my husband married another wife. Na ukiulizwa kwa nini hujapatia huyu mwanaume watoto, unasema mimi I was not ready for children at that point. Understand, mama, elewa hivi. As a Christian, you are the only recreational companionship to your husband. And so when you get into this marriage, be ready for that task. It is a task, it's a need, it's something that you have to identify with the man and do it. You know, some of these things, you find that some women would not want to give birth because they feel their shape is going to be destroyed. They want to remain young and looking beautiful. But I'm telling you, there is nothing that has no cost. If you want to be a mother, you must pay the cost. If you want to be a wife, there are some of these costs that you're supposed to pay. And so, if you must become a good wife and a believer who is able to keep a family, some of the costs that you must pay, you must, hata hiyo shape yako lazima ibadilike. Lazima mambo ibadilike so that you can be able to be complete. Complete in the sense that you are a family person, you have given your husband the needs that he deserves, and that you are working through to make sure that whatever he needs is coming in at the right time. So what I'm saying today is that we are dealing with men's needs. And the needs of men are so many. And they need to be taken care of by only one person. This woman who has decided to marry this man. So it's very, very important to sit down with a pen and paper as a woman and decide. These are the needs. Identify the needs one by one. You know, once we get married, sometimes we don't understand these men. But with the time you get to understand who your spouse is and what kind of a person he is and what are his needs. Because the needs of men vary from men to men. Maybe the needs of my husband are not the needs of your husband. So it is very important to identify with the needs of your husband. Don't identify with the needs of men per se, because you're not living with men. You're living with only one man. Identify with the needs of this one man and be able to prioritize them. Make sure that this man gets satisfaction from you and that you're able to meet his needs on priority basis, so that you don't start with the last and end with the first. Sometimes, you maybe depending from man to man, there are men who love sex, and maybe you don't love sex, so you don't want to have sex with your husband. Many times you'll always get busy when it comes to the time to going to sleep. You're always very busy because you don't want to give him his time. And you find that some of those things bring a lot of friction in the family. Because this one need you don't want to meet. To him, maybe it is the most important need in his life. So it's very important to sit with your family or your man and be able to identify. Actually, if you get married after 1 year, you are able to understand what your man is is like. So you are able to understand his needs on priority basis. So what I'm trying to say today is that men, they have needs, and that those needs can only be met by their wives. As Christians, we are not allowed to marry more than one woman. So the only woman this man has married is you. And you don't expect him to marry another woman. So all the needs that he has are yours. You are the one to meet them. Don't start saying these needs are so many. Who else did you want this man to meet? It is only you who is going to meet these needs. You are going to meet the sexual needs. You are going to meet the friendship need. You are going to need to honor him and respect him. You are going to give him recognition. You are going to recognize his leadership in the family. You are going to make sure that you are physically attractive and that all the time he looks at you, he can always be able to see the girl in you. You are going to help him live, you are going to give him lifelong commitment of this marriage that I'm here to stay. Hapana kaa kama mwenye amekaa one on max kila saa unakaanga umeangalia barabara ni sasa unataka kutoroka. Kaa chini. Let your husband knows my wife is sitting down and she's here to stay. So that akitoka nje anajua when I go back, hata nikienda for 1 year, I'll still come back and find my wife. And for that reason, you will be able to work together. You will be able to do things together. And this man, you will occupy his mind. If you do everything as per what I've said, I can assure you, you're going to occupy the mind of this man. Wherever he goes, he'll be thinking about you. Brethren, there is a task for us as believers, and especially wives. Next time, I'll be talking about the needs of women. that men should be able to know. So it is good for us to understand the needs of our spouses. God bless you so much. I believe that we are blessed, and you can subscribe in our YouTube, and God bless you. Amen.
Thank you.